Thomas Tuchel just coached England to a 2026 FIFA World Cup semi-final, their fourth ever, and somehow managed to be harsher on his own team for winning than he was on himself for losing. That is not an interpretation. Those are his exact words, separated by 4 days, and the gap between them is the whole story. Here's quote 1. July 11th, Miami. England have just beaten Norway in extra time to reach the last four of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Tuchel walks out to the ITV cameras and says, "About the team that just won. We were lucky. Sloppy. Not fast enough. I'm not happy with the performance, in every sense." That is a manager publicly calling out his own players on live television after a quarter-final win. In American sports terms, imagine your head coach grabbing the post-game mic after a conference championship and telling the cameras his guys didn't deserve it. You would never hear the end of it. Now here is quote 2, July 15th, Atlanta. England have just given up a 1-0 lead in the final 10 minutes and lost 2-1 to Argentina in the semi-final going home. Tuchel steps to the podium and says, "No regrets." In the moment, no regrets. We played one of our better matches, maybe our best match. Sit with that. Harsh after winning, serene after losing. The internet noticed. Now, some quick context for anyone who hasn't been following England's run. Thomas Tuchel is German from a small town called Krumbach in Bavaria, and he is literally the first German ever to manage England at a World Cup. The FA hired him on an 18-month contract with exactly one objective: end a 60-year wait for a major trophy, the wait that has been ticking since 1966, and stretching through back-to-back European Championship final losses at Euro 2020 and Euro 2024. At his unveiling, Tuchel opened with the line, "I'm sorry I have a German passport." The room laughed. England lost in the semi-finals. It's a little less funny now. And the weight of that history is not abstract when it's England versus Argentina, because this fixture carries its own gravity entirely. In 1986, Diego Maradona put his hand through the net and called it the hand of God. In 1998, a teenage David Beckham got sent off and England went out on penalties. Every time these two nations meet at a World Cup, the past walks onto the pitch with them. That was the backdrop at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Against Norway at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, England were genuinely shaky. They conceded in the 36th minute, scrambled level before halftime through Jude Bellingham, and then Bellingham scored again in the 93rd to send them through. The official FIFA stats show England with 47% possession and 7 shots on target to Norway's 4. Competitive, not dominant. And the heat in Miami was being reported at a feel-like temperature north of 40 degrees Celsius, which, for our purposes, is standing inside a running clothes dryer. Declan Rice, Arsenal's midfield engine, came off at halftime ill. So yes, England were imperfect. Tuchel was not wrong about that. But here's where it gets good. After the final whistle, before Tuchel's press conference had even finished reverberating through the broadcast trucks, reporters went to Jude Bellingham, the man who scored twice to win the game, and put Tuchel's critique to him directly. Bellingham's first response was 4 words. "Yeah, well, whatever. Beat." Then after a pause, he elaborated. Maybe he doesn't know what it's like to play in those kind of conditions against Holland, Odegaard, Nusa, Sorloth. That's not an easy team to play against. You're not going to win every game popping the ball and making 1,000 passes. Sometimes you have to win dirty, and we've done that again tonight. When asked whether he agreed England were lucky, Bellingham said no comment. Quick note for the casual viewer. Erling Haaland is Norway's striker, currently one of the most terrifying forwards on the planet. Martin Odegaard is their creative midfielder. Popping the ball and making 1,000 passes is soccer speak for the tidy, possession-based style England apparently were not playing. Bellingham was defending ugly wins. He was not wrong. Fox Sports analyst Alexi Lalas, who is American and has approximately zero patience for diplomatic non-answers, said he loved it. I love the fact that Jude stood up for himself and stood up for his teammates. Fox Sports analyst Zlatan Ibrahimovic, yes, that's Zlatan, now in a suit on American television, suggested Bellingham might not have been given the full context of Tuchel's comments, that reporters had handed him the criticism without the praise, which is a fair point, and also completely irrelevant to how fun the clip is. Now here is the turn, because before you file this under disaster manager who lost his team, there are a few things you need to know that complicate the picture considerably. First, Tuchel dropped Jude Bellingham from the England squad before the tournament. Bellingham had just been named England's Men's Player of the Year for 2024 to 2025. Less than 48 hours after the award, he was left out. Tuchel then brought him back. The man he publicly called lucky for his performance against Norway is the same man he had previously described as a special boy whose intensity could sometimes be a bit repulsive, a word Tuchel used in a radio interview that caused significant upset with Bellingham and his family, and for which Tuchel apologized. This relationship has layers, quite a few layers. And worth remembering who Tuchel is in a broader sense, this is a Champions League winner, the man who guided Chelsea to the trophy in 2021, who previously managed Paris Saint-Germain and Borussia Dortmund. He has operated at the very top of European club football. He does not lack for credentials, which makes the tactical decisions in Atlanta all the harder to explain. Second, Bellingham's goals in that Norway game. The first one, the equalizer before halftime, came from a passage of play where Norway claimed the ball had hit a spider cam wire suspended above the pitch, changing its trajectory before falling to an England player, who then fed Bellingham to score. FIFA released a statement saying there was no evidence the ball's trajectory was affected. Norway, understandably, was not fully satisfied with that answer, which means Tuchel called England lucky. And by at least one reading, he was understating it. Third, and this is the one that reframes everything. According to the Fox Sports broadcast, Argentina had scored 9 goals at this World Cup after the 75th minute. 9, entering the semifinal against England. That was the single most publicly known fact about Argentina's tournament. They do not stop, they do not accept leads, they score late. And after Anthony Gordon gave England the lead in the 55th minute, Gordon then immediately came off for a defender. Tuchel sent on 2 more defenders in the 82nd minute, removing Declan Rice and Reece James and bringing on Dan Burn and Nico O'Reilly. Against the team that had scored 9 goals after the 75th minute, Argentina equalized in the 85th minute. They won it in the 90th minute plus 2 minutes. Final score 2-1 to Argentina. And then Tuchel said no regrets. Harry Kane, England's captain and joint top scorer in the tournament alongside Bellingham at 6 goals apiece, the first time 2 England players have hit 5 or more goals at the same World Cup ever, put it gently. After the Norway win, Kane acknowledged that Tuchel in the changing room had said massive congratulations and told them to enjoy it. There's still a part of him, Kane said, that knows we can do better, which in a way is a good thing. That is very diplomatic for a man who had just played 120 minutes in Miami Heat. The Telegraph's Matt Law was less diplomatic. Per his post-match reporting, Thomas Tuchel will have to take responsibility for that defeat. His reaction to England taking the lead backfired terribly. Such a disappointment. Journalist Melissa Reddy put it with the same economy. Far too defensive. Far too early from Thomas Tuchel against a team not just with quality, but who have repeatedly shown they refuse to be beaten. You don't encourage Leo Messi's Argentina, you don't feed their fighting spirit. Messi, incidentally, was 39 years old in that game and provided 2 assists. Gary Neville, former England international and now one of the country's most prominent analysts, looked at the Bellingham situation through a different lens. He's definitely sending him a message, Neville said on ESPN. If you think about England managers over the last 20 or 30 years, they always get their star players back in, even if they haven't played a game, just to get them back in amongst it. That is the dynamic here. A manager who operates through confrontation and pressure, a player who fires back with whatever, and a tournament run that reached the Final Four before unraveling in 9 minutes. England are now headed for the third-place playoff. Their World Cup is not over, but the version of it that mattered is. Tuchel's contract runs through the end of this tournament and no further. The accountability question is, in the most literal sense, almost out of time. What we know is this. The same man who told his team, "I'm not happy with the performance, in every sense we were lucky," after they won, cannot quite find those same standards when the direction goes the other way. Which is human, sure, but it is also very, very on camera. No regrets, he said. Jude Bellingham had some thoughts about that. He just hadn't been asked yet.